It's no secret Sony is well known for their single-player, narratively driven masterpieces. With games like the Uncharted franchise, The Last of Us, and God of War, if there's anything Sony can promise to deliver, it'd be a captivating story to play and immerse yourself in. But what if I told you Sony can sometimes deliver on multiplayer as well? For example, Uncharted 2, 3, and 4 all had pretty well-received multiplayer modes. Today, however, I'm not going to talk about Uncharted's multiplayer. I'm going to talk about the one multiplayer mode Sony has since left in the dark. Factions. If the name Factions isn't familiar to you, it's the multiplayer mode for The Last of Us. Today I'll be reviewing Factions to see what made it so unique and fun. I'll be covering its entirety with pros and cons as well as what the future holds for any possible second iteration of Factions. The first thing I'll cover will be the overall gameplay experience. When you first begin playing, you're given the option to choose between the two factions of the Fireflies and Hunters. You're then given a small community with the goal of keeping them alive and growing through completing in-game challenges for 12 weeks. Just a side note, one match equates to 1 day. There are 3 game modes to choose from: Supply Raid, Survivor, and Interrogation. Supply Raid is essentially your typical team deathmatch mode where each team shares 20 lives and whichever team is the last one standing wins. Survivor is a sudden death 1 life game mode, and Interrogation, the more unique game mode, has both teams race to get to a specific number of interrogations, which is like a special execution after downing an enemy, to then have access to a lockbox that must be opened to win the game. Even after all these years, the game modes have aged well and still provide the intense and full gameplay it offered back in 2013. At the start of every match, the player has nothing but their weapons. Within the map, there are 3 lockboxes identified by the circle on the minimap. When opened, you get a random supply ranging from crafting materials, parts, ammo, and even melee weapons. These loot boxes reset frequently, allowing a constant flow of materials. They even give out more materials depending on if you're losing or absolutely shitting on the other team. After obtaining the necessary crafting materials, you're able to craft useful items like nail bombs, molotovs, melee weapon upgrades, smoke bombs, and health packs, which all prove to be critical in defeating your enemies. Now, as you craft items, kill enemies, or revive teammates, you earn an in-game currency called parts. With parts, you can buy ammo, upgrade your weapon performances, buy special weapons, and even buy armor, all in-game at any time. Teamwork is the most important element within Factions, as being overwhelmed can happen faster than expected. Of all the multiplayer experiences I've ever had, I think this is the only game that doesn't have an objectively bad map. I've had so much fun on every map, and they all have their own unique aesthetic and atmosphere. There are 17 maps that correlate to some type of area you come across within the story. They all have loose 3-lane structures and kind of remind me of how OG Call of Duty maps used to feel. The only downside I noticed with the map design is there seemed to be little vertical gunfights. High points like the top of buildings were limited to only like 2 or 3 points in each map. Not a huge problem, just a little something I noticed. Similar to games like Call of Duty, Factions has its own create a class system in the form of Pick 13. You're given 13 points to spend on whatever perks or weapons you want in a class. I really like this as it allows for more creativity towards the type of playstyle you prefer. It also gives the interesting sense of strategic planning as you're forced to sacrifice something over the other. Your 2 main weapon categories are your large firearm and small firearm. There are a total of 3 small firearms, 5 large firearms, and 6 special weapons. You also have 13 perks that each have 2 or 3 tiers to them. Not a huge variety of weapons, however, they each serve a specific playstyle and in my opinion are well balanced, except for one major issue: DLC. There are a total of 5 normal DLC weapons that are absolutely broken and overpowered. The 4 special DLC weapons aren't as pay to win, but it's still annoying to see such good shit locked behind a paywall. An additional 13 DLC perks, some of which can be pretty strong and game changing. I think the DLC weapons and perks really hold back Factions to its fullest potential. Each DLC item stands at $1, which isn't anything at all compared to how DLC prices are nowadays in the gaming world. but it's still annoying to come across. Other than the DLC issue, Factions is pretty damn fun. Before I forget, there's also room for customization regarding your character looks, but to be honest, it's pretty lackluster and most of it is locked behind DLC anyway. Now you're probably wondering, Variety Victor, it's been 12 years since Factions. Where is Factions 2, you sexy short Mexican? Well, boys, I hate to break it to y'all, but that shit ain't coming. In December 2023, Naughty Dog officially announced the cancellation of The Last of Us Online, aka Factions 2, which was supposed to be a standalone multiplayer game set in the Last of Us universe. The decision was made to prioritize single-player narrative-driven games, as continuing development on the live service multiplayer project would have required significant resources and potentially shifted the studio's focus away from its core strengths. Former PlayStation executive Shuhei Yoshida confirmed in an interview with Eurogamer, published in February 19th, 2025, that Factions was well into development and considered great by those who played it. However, Sony's shift away from an aggressive live service strategy, initially aiming for over 10 live service titles by March 2026, led to its cancellation. There was also mention that Naughty Dog refused to hand the project to another studio to maintain quality standards. So basically, Sony's chase for money and live service essentially destroyed the future of any Factions 2. The closest thing you have to Factions 2 is The Last of Us Part 2's no return mode. It's quite unfortunate, as Factions still has a pretty dedicated player base, and even today I can hop on and find a match. It's just a shame we never got anything more than what we have now. So with that said, thank you for watching the video, and like and subscribe, and I'll give you all with another one, and yeah, suck my dick, cool.